and we'll be focusing on mental health, mind-body connection, and mental health as movement health. I'm going to be starting a 6-week series starting November 7th, and I'll be instructing Tai Chi movements, Kung Fu movements, Qigong movements, and we're going to see how the mental landscape is affected, and if it improves, if it maintains, if it preserves, because when it comes to mental health, how do we cultivate? What does it look like to build a healthy state? And how do we sustain it? And how do we maintain it? So there's a lot of things that we have to look at because there's a lot of aspects to our well-being and ourselves. So in Qigong theory, we look at 5 regulations. We look at the body, we look at the breath, we look at the mind, we look at the energy, and we look at the spirit. And then all of these need to be regulated so that they can be of optimal states. So when we talk about mental health, how do we make sure that we're in an optimal mental health state? And so that's a question that I've explored for a long time. What does my optimal wellness look like? Optimal performance? How do I reach my potential? So with that, we're going to start a exercise now where we look at the mind. Where is the mind? Take a second, take a deep breath, inhale, exhale, and have a look at the mind. Where is it? Could be on a memory, could be on a conversation, could be on a task, could be on a to-do list, could be on a person or a place. The mind can go anywhere. The mind can go to last year. The mind can even go to the future. That's our imagination. What we want to do for Tai Chi Chuan, for Qigong, is bring the mind into the body. So the way that we can do that is to bring the attention and bring the mind into the abdomen. So this allows us to bring the mental focus, attention, and awareness from outside of the body, this, that, and the other, and down into the body. Some people like to call it, in mindfulness, they call it an anchor. That's going to be the abdomen. So we take a deep breath, inhale. We like to put the hands here. We feel the hands press against the abdomen. And we exhale. Let's do 3 of those. Inhale. Exhale. We do another inhale. And exhale. In Qigong, we say that the hands are energy gates. So the hands, if we think about it, they direct our attention, our awareness, and they manifest our intentions. We use the hands to make what we visualize. So to bring the hands at the abdomen, we create a circuit and create a loop that goes back to our energy center. It takes energy to do all the things that we need to do in our lives. The abdomen is one of our energy centers. We actually have 3 energy centers: the lower abdomen, the middle abdomen energy center, and the upper energy center. And Chinese terminology is called the lower dantian, the middle dantian, the upper dantian. within one person's small universe. It's also referred to as earth, heaven, and humanity. Those three energy centers. And so to have mental health and well being, we want those three centers communicating, interfacing, and interacting and functioning optimally. So when we talk about mental health, that's one of our energy centers, the upper energy center. We think that the mind is located in the head, but actually if the mind can go to the past, if the mind can go to the future, that means the mind can go into our feet, can go into our knees, our ankles, our shoulders. Our mind can really go anywhere. And so we want to also have our mind at the lower energy center and at the middle energy center, the three dantians. With that, we're going to start to move our body because we want to embody our minds. Mental health, in Eastern point of view, is about embodying the mind. And I'll say more about that. As we get into the body, we start to move it, stretch it, put weight on it, load bearing, putting resistance, whether it's walking or stretching. But here we're shaking. And shaking is actually a good way to alleviate anxious energy. So oftentimes the energy that we're experiencing, we can describe it as a anxious energy. So shaking is a good way to alleviate anxious energy, is what I've realized. But shaking is actually a very common qigong exercise. If you go to the park in many Asian communities, you see people doing all sorts of things in the park. And so this is one of them. Yeah, we're doing qigong, and we're doing elements and components of qigong and tai chi. So tai chi is a qigong. Qigong is not necessarily tai chi, but they have common elements and principles, and we talk more about that. Now that we've shaken our wrists, our fingers, our elbows, we start to shake our shoulders. So we're going through an embodiment process from the fingers, outer extremities down, or rather in, and now we're at the shoulders, and now we're at the neck. So for me, I have some neck tension, and I can feel it being stimulated by this shaking movement. As we do that, remember one of the main regulations for the Qigong triad is the breath. We're stimulating the body, which is one, the mind is another, and the breath is another. So we want to establish the Qigong triad, mind, body, breath, as we're moving. And it could be said that the Qigong triad is the foundation of mental health. So here, as we're shaking, we're panning to the left, we're panning to the right. And as we go through this process, you want to maintain awareness of the nerves. Are you feeling pain? If so, how can you alleviate, work in and with the pain, but not stimulate the pain and make it worse? because you have to engage it. You have to exchange your mental attention, awareness, and energy in order to alleviate something. Now I've started to bounce my whole body, engaging my legs. So I'm bending my knees, and bouncing my whole body. And like I said, as an embodiment exercise, we're going into all of the joints and the surrounding tissues. Now, let's do shoulder shimmy. So shoulder shimmy is a little bit of a fun and funny movement. Essentially, you're rotating your torso so that your shoulders are moving forward and back, alternating. You can see that my elbows, wrists, and fingers are relaxed, so they're actually involved and following the shoulders movement. If you've drank something or eaten something that, recently, then it's going to be a little shaking in the stomach as well. And so that's kind of something you want to keep in mind. So I'm going to do it a little bit more rigorously, and I'm going to add a bounce as well. So now I get a few different dimensions here, 3 dimensions, not just this one here, but I'm bouncing and I'm getting the shaking along with that rotation and the shoulder shimmy as well. And I'm breathing. So that was working on the connective tissues in the joints, the hands and the fingers, elbows, shoulders. And so we have to remember that there are energy channels that are running out of our hands that are connected to our organs. You could kind of think of them as, I kind of think of them as sort of exhaust systems, because the organs are like chemical factories. They're processing material, they're getting rid of waste. And anytime you have some sort of process, you're making something from one thing, you accumulate waste and you have to get rid of the waste. So that's why we pee and poop. That's why we exhale, is because we're getting rid of wastes. Energetically, the channels serve as waste pathways and also nourishing pathways for the organs through the arms and through the legs. So we're swinging the arms here. After we did the loosening process, now we're applying centrifugal force to open the tissues even more, open the joints even more. Wrists, fingers, elbows, shoulders, and not only that, as we rotate, we're now engaging the body's communication pathway, the body's main communication highway, the spinal column, and all of the nerves that are running from the tailbone through the spine, lower, middle, upper, into the lower brainstem and into the brain. So when we talk about mental health, how can we omit the spinal cord and the spinal column? What is the effect of a healthy or a not so healthy spinal cord or spinal column on our mind and our mental health. Now, let's go ahead and bring some attention and awareness into our feet. So we're going to turn and we're going to lift the heel and we're going to look back behind, alternating the heel, lifting. We're breathing comfortably. We're breathing normally. Just making sure we have an awareness of the breath as we continue to move. If you don't know my story, I grew up as a 1980s and 90s karate kid, and I fulfilled my childhood dream of living full-time training and learning with a Chinese martial arts teacher. I did that from 2009 to 2018. I completed a 9-year intensive full-time live-in discipleship program. And 6 days a week, we woke up daily for 6 a.m. meditation. And trained Tai Chi, Qigong, meditation, Kung Fu till 7 o'clock. All right, so now we're going to change that and we're going to lift the toe. So I was lifting the heel first, now I'm going to lift the toe. We have to be careful here. The foot that's planted, the leg that's planted, you want to just be careful and cautious because that knee is rotating and spinning, and you don't want to spin it out of socket because that's a little bit of a uncommon angle. Remember, we're going through an embodiment process, exploring the aspect of movement and the effects on the mind, psychology, and the mental health. Making sure, continuing to breathe comfortably, naturally. And another thing that I'm doing is I'm actually, you could go ahead and take a break there. Another thing that I'm doing is actually creating a soft fist with my wrists. And I'm using this opportunity to massage the body as the hands slap against the body. We're going to now focus some of the attention and the awareness into the lower extremities, the legs. We're going back to our arm swing. Someone asked about Kundalini awakening. Yeah, I believe that that's a energetic process by which I think the from what I understand, the sacral energy begins to open and rise through the spine and then into the upper energy center and even out. There's questions as to why would that be dormant, but I think there's a lot of dormant energies that that need circulation. Kundalini could just be one of them. So yoga and Tai Chi, or yoga and Qigong, are actually brother and sister. Buddhist practices are the foundation of yoga. Well, Indian and Buddhist, but also Buddhism really influenced Chinese Qigong and Japanese Qigong as well in martial arts. So we're going back with a little bit of a wider base now. We're going back to the arm swing, and now we're going to go into our squat. So if you know anything about health, you know that the squat is a good sort of benchmark for one's physical health. If you can squat, and then if you can squat to go to the bathroom, that's pretty healthy. If your physical body's healthy, well, what's that going to do to your mental body? Sinking, keeping the feet flat, and going into the squat where my knees and my hips are really doing a lot of load bearing while I'm requiring movement from the joints. So loose joints are one thing, but moving the joints while you're bearing load, in this case, my body's weight, is another thing, right? So just me rotating my body is one thing, but now once I start to contract the legs, bend the legs, and put weight on the thighs, the hip joints, and the knee joints, that's something else. In Chinese Qigong and martial arts, the legs and the feet are very important. They're the root, in the same way that roots are important for the health of a tree. For example, in martial Qigong, if you can't stand, you can't fight. In ancient times, if you're in the battlefield and you fall, well, that essentially was a death by getting run over, death by a weapon or enemy. So it was really crucial to maintain upright awareness and posture in martial qigong, essentially war and in the battle. Uh, in Tai Chi qigong, that extends to your central energy line, right? Connection of earth to the sky via your central energy line. We call that the central equilibrium. It's a energetic posture that's essential for Tai Chi training and Tai Chi Chuan training. So the last thing that we're going to do is eagle spreads its wings. This is going to be a little bit more of a Qigong based movement. We've done a little bit of a warm up to loosen the joints and get into the body and bring the mental attention and awareness into the body. Now we're going to do a little bit of a Qigong based movement. Eagle spreads its wings. So if I give you a side view, it's going to look like this. The shoulders initiate the movement, elbows come out, and then hands and fingers extend out. Quite easy. The arms pull back in and the palms face up, and then you let them relax and engage the shoulders, pick up the shoulders again, spread the arms out, and allow the wings to spread forward and up. And then now they fall. You turn the palms up and bring the hands in again. Notice the cyclical nature of the movement. That's a hallmark of Tai Chi movement and Qigong movement, right? Because you have the outgrowth of the movement, which is yang, and then you have the movement that finishes excess yang, and then it dies off, and then there's a recycling, which is the yin, where the movement starts to grow again. Basic yin yang theory. So we'll inhale now because we want to add the breath. And exhale, spread the wings out and forward. Inhale in and exhale out. Inhale in and exhale out. Inhale in. Now we're harmonizing the body and the breath with the yin yang cycle. And I'll turn forward here, give you the front view. Inhale in and exhale. And now we're going to take a step back. I don't know if you can hear me, my audio, my mic just ran out. So I'm going to have to make do with that. But we're finishing with that movement, forward, exhale, inhale, and forward, exhale, inhale, and forward, exhale, inhale, forward, exhale, inhale. That's going to do it for Taiji Tuesday for mental health. On November 7th, I'm starting a 6-week series on looking at mental health through movement. And what is the relationship between healthy movement and healthy mindset or mindscape or healthy psychology, mental health? How do you define mental health? What does it look like? What does it feel like? I'm going to give you my experience, share with you my process. Like I said, growing up as a karate kid in the 80s and in the 90s, going through a full-time live-in discipleship program with my Chinese teacher, and we never really called it mental health. That's kind of a new phrase that we have in our lexicon, but a lot of people talk about it and realize that, yeah, there are certain mind states that are either diminishing health or they're improving health. Anxiety, depression, um, worry, fear, those sort of things are not going to be conducive to mental health. And so, what are those positive ones? What are those positive states? So, for example, when we're doing Qigong movement and Tai Chi movement, we're looking at the theta state, the theta brainwave state. That is attributed to a semi-sleep state, a relaxed state, a state of ease, calmness. Those are the sort of things that we're always sort of trying to attain, maintain, and strengthen when it comes to the Qigong state and the meditative state. So if that appeals to you, if that's of interest, um, subscribe, follow, and check out the more information on that 6-week series. And come back next Tuesday for Taiji Tuesday. We'll talk more. And I'm really excited about this program and connecting with people about mental health and looking how we can help one another to improve it. So, what are some of the things that you do for your own mental health and your own mental well-being? And how does movement affect your mental health? Talk to you soon. I'm going to fix the sound